Hey guys, so this is just gonna do a quick ramble video about my OSAT account. You have to forgive the awkwardness with this ramble. Not really want to make YouTube videos or anything like that. So yeah, it's going to be a bit awkward, but we'll get through it. So I just wanted to make a quick video or a quick ramble, just because I've had a few requests, and also I think this account really doesn't bode well for progress videos. So just rambles in general just seem like the better approach. So I just want to really just talk about the progress I've made, how I've got to this point, and then my future plans. Because I've had many interests, nice, of this account, and you know why I'm playing it and how I've progressed it to where it's at now. So if you don't know this account, it's my level 3 hardcore Iron Man, and I do one skill at a time, so OSAT for short. So there's a few other OSAT accounts out there. I mean, the main is 99 at a time, who recently finished his goal. And there's a few others out there as well. A quick shout out to Orr. He's an Ultimate Iron Man who's made pretty significant progress. And like I said, there's a few others. I only the main reason I made this account wasn't to like compete or to flex it in any way. It was just because I was maxing my main Iron Man, and I just needed something to do. So, you know, made the account, and we started with agility. I think if you are an OSAT, especially an Iron Man OSAT, agility is hugely important. Just because of all the skills you can do, agility is one of the easiest without training any other skills, and then it's also one of the most beneficial, because you do forget how shit level 1 agility is. If you ever made a new account, it's Walkman mode basically. And because this type of account is really restricted on, you know, staminas, energy pots and stuff like that, 99 agility is a no-brainer. The graceful set effect alone saves you many hours in you know, it just saves you a lot of hours basically, and it's also just really useful to have overall. So that was like quite an enjoyable goal. I ended up going from level 1 to 99 in 22 days. I averaged like 12 hours a day or something, just disgustingly dirty. I mean, that'll be timid for some, but for me that was quite a push, especially considering it probably was more like 13, maybe closer to 14 hours a day of being at the PC. I just wasn't always logged in, and there was a couple of days I had to not play or only play like half days. So in that regard, it was pretty disgusting. So I mean, the method is pretty simple. You just do rooftops. I mean, the only troublesome parts are you skip kind of this course because obviously you can't go to Mauritania without training prayer, and then you do, yeah, you just do Varrock 30 to 50, and then I didn't do Wildy course. I mean, you technically can, but like the risk involved, especially as a hardcore, just isn't worth it. So you have to do Falador, which is significantly slower than Wildy, but it's only a couple of hours really. In the grand scheme of things, it's not much. So it was a pretty fun grind, I will say. Agility is weirdly become one of my favorite skills. I mean, rooftops are just so chill that it just makes doing it really fun. I ended up getting like about 3.2k marks. I can't quite remember. I mean, they're pretty much useless for me considering I can't really make stamina pots. So, I mean, that was agility, fun skill, but you know, not a challenge. Excuse me, I'll drink some water. I'm not used to this. So the next skill I did was Thieving. Now, admittedly, I think agility and Thieving are the two skills that you pretty much have to do early on an OSAT account as an Iron Man. As a main, as I said, you can skip over them till later, but as an Iron Man, they're basically a requirement in my opinion. I did agility first just because it was the easier of the two, but Thieving actually wasn't as easy as I originally thought it was going to be. So the smart approach would have been to do blackjacking, but I don't have experience blackjacking on a 10 HP account, and I'm aware that like it's quite risky to do so. So I ended up not doing blackjack. I also didn't do RD Nights. I also didn't do Pyramid Plunder because I think you need a cat to get there. So I ended up doing stone chests, which, if you don't know what stone chests are, they're a thieving method in the Kebos Zaya. And let's just say they're not bad. Like, I could definitely see myself doing 99 there again, but they're unconventional to say the least. I think the max XP now I was getting was like 110k, which isn't bad, but that's like 99. But at like, you start them at level 64, and that was about 70k an hour. Could have saved myself about 15 hours if I used a lockpick, but you know that wasn't known at the time that sped that up. That's a bit of a kick in the teeth. But yeah, that was a bit of a long grind as well, just because, as you can imagine, stone chests isn't exactly the most enjoyable content. And the loot outside of, I mean, I got like about 23k Lissaman fangs, which is pretty good. Basically an infinite supply. But other than that, I didn't gain much, so I had to do a fair bit, as you can see, of post 99 thieving RD Nights to get GP for later on. I'll talk about that when I get to construction. But then the third skill was farming. Now, farming is a bit of an odd one, just because you know, traditionally I think people go for easier skills to do. Although I'd argue farming is incredibly important on an Iron Man OSAT, just because the biggest, you know, the biggest wall you have to come up to is herb lore. So I ended up doing farming as my third skill, and that was a bit of a grind, as you can imagine. Obviously, ultimates, you know the struggles of doing Thai farm. I ended up, the way it works is I ended up having to do camp easy contracts for a while to try and get a maple tree seed. Turns out I could have just gone BA, but you know, hindsight. So I ended up camping like 150 easy contracts pre-65 farming to get a maple tree seed, because I was worried I would get soft locked out of contracts. That's something that can happen if you have above 65 farming, because you can get a maple tree easy contract. And at the time, I thought the only way to get them was either via bird nests or contracts. But it turns out you can do easy gambles. So I ended up doing that. So that burnt me out, actually, because I basically couldn't play the game. I'd log in, do my contracts, sit about for, you know, babysit my patches, basically, because, you know, allotments and flowers and stuff love to die on you with normal super compost. So that was like a not fun period of the account. So I ended up burning out, I think at like 65, maybe 67. No, must have been before the maple tree seed. Either way, I came back, got maple tree seed, thankfully. Didn't end up needing it in the end, but I think if you are going to do that, you should definitely camp contract and get either a maple tree seed or just do BA, like I said. So farming was actually a pretty easy skill once I got into it. I weirdly enjoyed doing the 25 patch type. And energy really wasn't that big of an issue because obviously I had the agility cape, which is a stamina perk once a day, and I guess I didn't mention it, but when I did thieving, in order to get 64 thieving, I did fruit stalls. But when I did fruit stalls, I banked all the strange fruit. So I ended up banking like 450 strange fruit, which restore like 30% energy. Didn't need that many. I've actually barely used any, but they're just nice to have. It's basically like an energy pot. So using a few of them during Tithe. This was around the time the Assidious rework came out, so it actually made Tithe nicer to do. So it just, I don't know, Typhoid's actually kind of enjoyable. I ended up pulling like a 8 farm week or something like that. And I ended up going quite ham with it. I obviously did contracts and herb runs during that time as well. Although I gave up doing the conventional herb patches, I basically only did the Farm Guild and the Assiduous patch because the other ones were just, they're too troublesome to get to. I did originally, or I did for a bit, but I kind of realised that I'm just wasting my time. The only weird thing I did, I guess, during farming is I farmed 15k grapes. Not Zami grapes, just vanilla normal grapes at the vinery. Don't think many people consider the farm normal grapes. So that's something I did. I just did that because that's like free cooking XP. And surprisingly decent farming XP. Takes the piss to replant, but you know, free farm XP. Like it was better XP than doing Typh itself, so I thought might as well do that. So that was farming, and obviously farming, it's pretty self-explanatory why you want to do it early, and that's just herb runs. But also contracts, camping contracts for herb seeds is, you know, vital on an account that can't really PVM at all. And you could say master farmers, but I already need to do, or had to do, a lot of post thieving at nights for GP. So doing even more post thieving at master farmers just seems a bit redundant, in my opinion. Although I have done like 1,500 renards worth at master farmers, so that's like what, 70 hours, 75 hours. So I've spent a bit of time there. So yeah, one of the side reasons I did farming was I actually needed Assiduous Favor. So the only way to level up Assiduous Favor, I originally got, is it 25% Assiduous Favor? Because I did the Client of Kren quest and put that certificate in Assiduous, which I will regret later because of the Piscarilius favor. Like the beginning of that's annoying. But I did that so I could feed fruit stalls without having to gain any farming XP. So it gave me just enough to feed fruit stalls for thieving. So I don't know, it just worked out. So I ended up doing farming for Assiduous Favor basically. I ended up pushing plows up to 100% just because I thought that was the easiest thing to do. Could have done the composting instead, but I guess it doesn't matter. It was only a few hours. But the reason why I wanted Assiduous Favor is not only you need it for the farm guild. I can't remember. Well, you need it for Thai farm as well, obviously. But for woodcutting, I wanted access to the woodcut guild. So woodcutting was my next skill. And this was all working towards the construction cape, which obviously was the skill that came after that. But during thieving, during farming and during woodcutting, I spent a lot of hours at RD Nights. As you can see, I'm 80 mil XP, but I ended up getting up to 73 mil XP at RD Nights. Just because I needed GP. And the method I did for woodcutting was I went to raids 1, Chambers of Zurich, and chopped those saplings to like 45 or something like that. And then finished the rest of oaks. And then once I got 60 woodcut, I bought my rune axe, went to the woodcut guild and basically chopped oak trees, went to the sawmill, went to the bank / deposit box. I'll talk about that in a bit. For, you know, I don't know how many hours it was, but it was not a quick grind. I think it was like 250 hours. If I had to give a ball, no, it can't have been that much. It was maybe 220 like efficient hours, but I mean, you don't always get the efficient rates when you're playing long term. Or at least I don't anyway. So probably 250 hours is probably like a safe estimate on how many hours I spent chopping oak trees. I needed 217k oak planks, which obviously that's a lot of GP. I think it's like 56 mil, is it, if off memory? It's around 50 mil in just sawmill cost for the planks. But I believe that was the best method for construction at the time. I couldn't think of anything better. I thought maybe unnoting at Remington would have been better, and using a butler, and just banking logs normally, but it works out to be slow, and also it would have cost an extra like 11 mil, so you know, Woodcut Guild it was. So that was honestly the biggest grind I think I've ever done. I mean, I've maxed 2 accounts, but I've never spent as much time on a single skill in like, I didn't do it in one sitting, obviously. I did thieving and stuff in between. I also burnt out, just because it was such a long grind. But you know, I'm glad I've done it because the rewards are honestly, the construction cape is the best thing in the game. So yeah, that was I think I got 94 wood cutting from oak trees, and then I just finished the rest of the redwoods to like reward myself. Because one thing about this account that annoys me a little bit is I can't do conventional free tick methods currently with the skills I've completed. So I can't do herb targ, I don't have herb log. Can't do like the teak log or mahogany log, I don't have fletch. And then there is one other method which is spiked van braces, but I would need hunter and crafting. So yeah, currently I can't do normal free tick methods. So I just had to do normal woodcut for the entirety of the woodcut grind. I could have done 2-tick teak, no, not 2-tick teaks, 2-tick willows, is it? But honestly, by the time I finished with oaks, I just wanted to chill, and redwoods was there. Well, it turns out Rudax redwoods is kind of shit. It's like 45k an hour. So I mean, that was like a 100 hours of just pure AFK. And then obviously the reason why the woodcut grind took so long is because I was basically knocking 2 skills out in one go. Because that also got me construction. So if you haven't seen my tweet, I did level 1 to level 99 construction in 26 hours. I got the hardcore Iron Man day record. I think I even got the 6-hour record. I mean that's pretty simple really. I just used up all my planks. The only thing I did do is I used bagged plants to skip the like early levels of construction, because using nails is something that I don't ever want to have to do again. I remember on the construction release date doing construction, that was just not a fun experience. So yeah, construction I mean, it swiftly followed woodcutting, let's just say that, because it was pretty. I don't really enjoy construction, so I thought, well, if I did it all in one day, then it would be over and done with, was my mentality, and I think I achieved that quite well. I don't think there's many people who could say they've gone from like level 1 to 99 in a day. I mean, other than like maybe fletching, because fletching's like a joke. So that was, construction is probably the the best skill to do on just any level 3 Iron Man, let alone OSAT. So in terms of an OSAT, obviously construction, it's just your mobility, like having the teleport to the portal, and also having the stamina pool in your POH. It's just massive. Pretty game changing, especially for herb runs, that you have to do a lot of herb runs on an OSAT account. So I think as I called it in my tweet, that was like chapter 1, getting construction, getting 99 construction. It's not really, I don't know, obviously getting construction is a huge grind and a huge accomplishment, but it's really just the start of the account, because I feel like all your focus until the construction cape is to get the construction cape, just because you're basically delaying it else if you aren't just rushing for the con cape, in my opinion. And you're going to be hurting yourself long term because you've not been doing herb runs, or if you have been doing herb runs, you've been doing them like so inefficiently. If you ever played level 3 Iron, your teleport options are the Chronicle, the Xerix Amulet, and if you're a normal level 3, you have the Ida Cloak as well, but I don't have the Ida Cloak. So for me, getting to Ardy has been like a nightmare. That's actually why I'm doing fishing right now, because the fishing cape has a really nice teleport on it. So I feel like that's a really good path to take. I feel like most OSATs, normal Ironmen at least, should take that path, just because deviating, doing... The only thing I would say is I obviously did a lot of post-thieving XP for my GP for construction, which isn't a bad option, because I do think I'll go for 200 more thieving at some point. Top page is still open for hardcores, so I feel like that's something I've never gained a 200 mil skill in old school, and I feel like that's something I want to achieve. But the smarter option would have honestly been to do mining and smithing and use the rune ore for GP. Mining rune ore is obviously really good GP. I feel like that's the better option overall if you're just going for the skills and not post XP. So yeah, that was chapter 1. That concludes chapter 1, and then I started chapter 2, which is fishing. Honestly, I'm mainly doing fishing just for the fishing cape because it's close to the Ardy patch. But also I just thought it'd be an easy skill to get done, like to do. I ended up doing minnows all the way till I think like 96 fishing. I have 75k raw sharks in the bank, which I will admit I didn't enjoy minnows. I'll just say that, and it was quite slow XP, but probably averaged like 45k an hour. But overall, I kind of regret doing minnows now because I've never done 2-tick swordfish before, which is what you're watching right now, and I really enjoy it. I wish I had a crystal harpoon because I'd love to compete for like day records, but obviously normal harpoon I can't really compete with people. I probably max like 102k an hour or something like that. But yeah, so fishing, I've done fishing, and that obviously coincides with cooking. So after this, I'll be doing cooking. That should just be a nice week of AFK. Use those grapes I farmed for farming. That should get me 80 cooking, and then cook the sharks at Hasidius range. Turns out the Hasidius favor is really useful if you're an OSAT Iron Man. But yeah, my plans after, I guess, fishing or cooking, because that's where I have like an overall grand plan that I've been working towards, and that is, I guess, 99 fletching would be the technical term for the grand plan, but I'm going to be doing fletching at Wintertodt. Now, I don't have to do it at Wintertodt. I could make darts, but part of me kind of wants to go for 200 mil fire making, and doing fletching at Wintertodt. I think it would take me like 150 mil fire making XP or something like that. I just know that I would get 99 fletching before 200 mil fire making. That's all I know. And if not, I'm not going to be happy. So that's like my grand plan. Which I could obviously go, now that I've got woodcut. I don't even need construction, but now I've got woodcutting done, I can do Wintertodt. But it would be a complete waste to do Wintertodt now, because obviously I'm going to be getting a lot of loot rolls from the supply crates. So if I'm going to do that much Wintertodt, I might as well try and maximize the loot I can get from the crates. So fishing obviously gets me raw fish, which honestly I don't really care for, but I mean I'd rather be getting sharks than fucking anchovies. But the main one is mining, so that's my plan. Mining gets me rune ore, which obviously is GP, because GP is like the main crux of a level 3 Iron Man. Because that's how I think of it. Like the OSAT aspect adds a layer of difficulty mentally, I think, but when you actually go down to it, there's only a few skills where it really is a problem. That's why I think people like overblow. Like, don't get me wrong, the account looks cool. Like, looking at the stats, you're like, damn, dude. But like, if you sit down and think about methods and think about, paths you can take, because there's different ways to do different skills. I think you kind of realize that it's not that it's not that different. You're just not able to skill hop really. So mining is my plan. Now, I won't lie, mining is probably going to be the most difficult skill there is for me, because my plan is to do iron ore and sandstone up to level 85, and then level 85 to 99 at Motherlode, because that would get me a lot of ores, and also it would get me rune ore, which is GP. So that'll help a lot with smithing. But I don't enjoy Motherlode. I've done a fair bit of Motherlode in the past, and it's just not my thing. But I'm hoping I can just plow through it, because I've been pretty consistent on this account with doing grinds that I genuinely wouldn't have thought I would ever do. That's one thing I like about it. There's a weird level of mental fortitude when skilling on this account, and maybe I'll make a separate video about mindset and stuff, because it's too big of a topic to really cover in a progress ramble, but we'll talk about it another day. So yeah, mining. The issue with mining I have is I don't have that many methods to do. So iron ore is like 70k an hour at the mining guild, which is decent but not amazing. There's 2S2G, which again decent but not amazing. I can't do 3-tick 4G, and I can technically do blast mine, but I'll probably just die, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah, there's just not many methods to do for mining, so Motherlode just seems like the easiest option, honestly. I did flirt with the idea of doing Amethyst 92 to 99, but with a rune pick that's like 15k an hour. And it would get me some fletching XP and some crafting XP, but I kind of just deemed it like it's just not worth it. I would only do it because I'm playing another account. I wouldn't do it actively. That would be the only reason I've considered it. I might do some of this. I haven't got to mining yet, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm not looking forward to it. I'll just be brutally honest about it. So you think, okay, you're doing mining, so the next skill's smithing. No, the next skill then is fire making. I will then be going to Wintertodt. So obviously 99 fire making is a joke. You just do Wintertodt for a few days and boom, it gets gifted to you. One thing I will say is I've never done Wintertodt on a low level account. I've never done Wintertodt with 10 HP, for example. I've always been ornate pool, POH, Wintertodt. So I'm a bit concerned about dying, especially considering I've had client crashes and internet drops in the past. So while I like to keep my hardcore status, I won't lie, I don't care that much. Or I say that now, I probably will care if I die. If I DC and die, I'm not going to be happy about it, obviously, but the main reason I just want to be hardcore is because the ranks are easy. Because there's no competition, unfortunately, on the hard scores for hardcores. There's 100 people with 99 con, so I don't know. Just makes looking at the hard scores a lot nicer. I'd rather be top 100 rather than top 1k when it compares to normal Ironman, so it's a bit of a selfish reason as to why I want to keep my hardcore status. So yeah, so obviously I'm going to do fire making at Wintertodt, but then I'm going to transition that into fletching, which means I'm probably going to be at Wintertodt for the foreseeable future once I start it. And unfortunately, just because getting there is such a bitch, it's not worth leaving to do herb runs or anything like that. So the monotony of Wintertodt is, it's going to be consistent. Now, yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to achieve the goals I want to, just because it's hard to predict like 1,000 hours of gameplay into the future, really. But that's my plan. After that, I really haven't decided, but honestly, at that point, I'm so close to finishing the goals. It's really just a case of cleaning up. So smithing is pretty free. It's not a fun method, but it's quite quick. Doing with plate bodies. I only really need to worry about the GP. Crafting, I will already have the sand banked. It's just a case of buying soda ash. And I've already bought like, I think I have like 65k soda ash. And I need 150k, something like that. So that's obviously something I can quite easily do. Hunter is hunter. I mean, there's lots of hunter methods. Unfortunately, I can't do herbivore, because I guess that's something I didn't mention. But one of the main restrictions of being a no-sat account, which annoys me, but I mean, it adds to the challenge, is I can't get to Fossil Island. Which, okay, as a level 3 Iron Man, you wouldn't think, oh, that's not too bad. Because honestly, your closest teleport, if you didn't know, for level 3 Iron Man, is the Chronicle teleport. So it's not like Fossil Island, like bird runs, are really, like birdhouse runs are that useful anyway. Like, but I don't have volcanic ash, which makes my herb runs just not fun. I get like 24 herbs a herb run. It's actually depressing. That's what makes herb lore even harder. So the restriction to get to Fossil Island is starting herb lore. Which means, unfortunately, I would have done herbivore for Hunter. But obviously needing herb lore. So I could do post 99 Hunter, which is probably what I'll end up doing. For herb lore, it all depends on like how much I've done for herb lore. I mean, rune crafting is pretty free. It is a little spooky with a few skeletons about, but I think if like you pay attention, you can't really die. So that's just a case of doing blood runes and then soul runes. I mean, I really don't mind Zaya rune crafting. What other skills? Spoke about crafting. Yeah, so like, I mean, that's basically it. And then you have herb lore, which, like I said, it is this like untouchable, difficult skill. I do think I can max this account before even having 99 herb lore banked, which is not a fun prospect, but you know, what can you do really? That's like the simplest way of putting it. What can you do? Herb lore is so difficult, and I won't lie, I don't actively focus herb lore, because what I'll probably end up doing is doing like logging, like not playing the account, or doing, maybe post 99 nights and then just working on herb runs then. Like post like complete account completion essentially. I did mention at the start, but this account is a skiller. So that basically means I'm not doing any combat skills. And the main reason isn't because they're difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be fun. It's like the simplest way I can explain it to someone. Like, I just wouldn't have fun. Because the way the combat skills work is you can like alch and splash for 99 magic. That's like free. Magic's free. Yeah, if I was going to do combat skills, I would have done magic a while ago. Range is like, if you want to do it before hit points, it's a case of you just make a shit ton of cannonballs, which is not fun. Strength, you can do before hit points. You can do blast furnace pump, which is like 1100 hours. But again, that's like not super fun. So it just seems like it's just a lot of like bullshit nightmare zone, sand crabs, AFK. For a lot of the combats. And then you just ignore Slayer because you just do Slayer last. So I can understand that combats have some difficulty to them, but I just think the difficulty lies in the hours it takes, not the actual difficulty of it. Like I just don't think going for like 40 mil range XP, throwing darts or knives at sand crabs for God knows how many hours that would take, 1,000 hours, is fun. I just I don't view that as fun, in my opinion. I mean, people don't view 2-tick swordfish as fun, but I weirdly do. So that's just something that I just wanted to clear up, because I don't know. And at the end of the day, like, the one crux of an OSAT account is the end goal is shit. Like, it's all about the journey, not the end goal, because the end goal is a normal max account. Like, and I've already got a max main and a max time, and I don't really need a max hardcore, if I'm being honest with you. So that's just like my mentality on it, at least. Although, if I ever do complete this account, a small part of me wants to do prayer. So shout out to Goose. He's a level 15 ultimate Iron Man who has not named prayer. And the method is graveyard. You pick up bones, bury the bones, and then collect big bones, and then take them to the wilderness altar. I don't know the XP. Obviously, I would have like full graceful. Oh, there we go. I've been waiting for that. That's my 99 fishing lamp. So I don't know the XP. Obviously, I'd have like energy pots and stuff where I don't think he did. So maybe it's like 20k an hour, which is still a long as fuck goal and grind. Obviously a lot harder for Goose. But I think I would only do it if I've lost my hardcore status and I still have this weird motivation to play. Because honestly, that's what I get with this account. It's just this weird like addiction to continue boring shit. I've had it with like other accounts in the past, but not to this extent where I've been playing for like, I think it's like 600 plus EHP at this point. Like I'm really, I get a weird addiction with this account where I'm just able to like push through grinds that I normally wouldn't be able to, which is nice. So yeah, well, like as I said, so chapter 1 is the construction cape, which I've got. Chapter 2 is the fletching cape, via 200 mil fire make, and then chapter 3, the final chapter, is Herblore, the Herblore cape. That's like the way I look at it, because I will be leaving Herblore to last, even if I have it banked. Just because I have like this weird narrative where I want to skill in like, I've set a path and I want to skill or do it in a way where, it fits a narrative. I don't know why. I just think it'd be cool to finish on Herblore. And then if I ever did do prayer, that would be like, I don't know, is it prologue? Or, sad story. I don't know how it works. But like that's my plans with the account. Will I ever get there? I mean, recently I've been putting in a lot of hours. And like achieving, really putting in the time and effort. But I have no idea. I might burn out during mining, or I might, die during Wintertodt, and that will make me quit. I don't know. It's hard to really predict the future. But right now I'm enjoying the account. It's taking me out my shell, especially with skilling methods. Like I would have never thought to do 2-tick swordfish until well, I just didn't want to AFK. I find AFK skills to be quite boring. As I mentioned, minnows. I really got bored of minnows very quickly. If you were around me at the time when I was doing minnows, I was just not happy. I was doing them like in a weird way. I was enjoying it, but I've never done something where I've just been like happy, but also just annoyed at the same time. I'm going on a bit of a tangent about how shit minnows are. Fuck minnows. So I'll just leave the ramble there. It's been 40 minutes. Jesus Christ. You listen to an autist for 40 minutes. Right, I'll leave it there. Don't know how to end this shit, because, you know, not exactly a YouTuber, am I? So yeah, peace.